You've heard the buzz. It's been touted as the next big thing. Social media has become a hot topic in recent times, and now businesses are starting to wake up to the possibilities. So, what is it? The term social media essentially refers to platforms that let individuals interact and share information quickly and efficiently. By using social media, people can talk to friends and business associates, comment on products and services, discuss ideas, as well as upload photos and videos for others to see on the web. There are literally hundreds of social media websites with varying features. Some sites cater to diverse audiences, while others only aim to attract people with particular interests. Since their introduction, these sites have attracted millions of users globally. Among the financial planning community, penetration has been modest, with research conducted by Zurich Financial Services Australia indicating that only 39% of advisors use social media. Zurich's Richard Dunkley says that figure is expected to increase rapidly in coming years as licensees realise these new communication channels can be effective, if not vital, for driving business.
And the term social media itself is a bit unfortunate in that many advisors and indeed many sort of older sort of business people have probably pigeonholed social media as something that's purely social and something for young people, and that's definitely not the case.
However, to understand the value that social media can bring to licensees, it's important to firstly examine how fixated Australian consumers have become with talking about companies and their products through social websites. A Nielsen study of Australian internet users found that between March 2010 and March 2011, 73% read other people's discussions and comments on brands, products, and services at some stage. 59% watched online videos about brands, products, and services, and 42% interacted with a company through social media sites. For these reasons, Blue Chip Communications Carden Calder says businesses who don't build their brand online risk being left behind.
What we've seen in the last few years is that Google and other search engines have become the primary way that all of us do information searches before we buy product or before we make significant decisions, including decisions about employment. So if you don't manage your brand online, people will simply Google you or stick your name into a search engine and not find you, or find information that you don't necessarily think represents your brand in the best way possible.
So what exactly can social media do for licensees? The experts say it can help them generate leads, provide valuable content such as articles and videos to current clients, promote their brand, and reduce marketing and recruitment costs. How licensees obtain these benefits depends on the social media platforms they use and how well this is done. The most used and relevant social media platforms include Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube.
Each of the main sort of social media platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, they're all actually quite different, and which is why there's a place for each of them probably in the mix from an advisor sort of perspective.
Facebook is the world's most popular social networking site. It boasts over 800 million users globally, with around 10.5 million in Australia. Facebook is regarded as a very attractive place for businesses to appear simply due to the sheer number of people actively using its website. A unique feature that Facebook offers businesses is the ability to create their own fan page. Business fan pages usually list information including company overview, services provided, contact information, and videos about the company. These fan pages essentially let users find out about and interact with the companies they're interested in. Members can also click on the like button, which shows they endorse a particular company. Simply put, the more likes a fan page has, the better it looks. While Facebook has a fragmented audience, LinkedIn is widely regarded as the social networking website of choice for professionals. This website lets users post a profile of their professional expertise, qualifications, and accomplishments, essentially a living, breathing resume viewable online by almost anyone.
Specifically and purely a business-related sort of application where the interactivity and the whole thrust of that platform is from a business and professional sort of context.
Calder says LinkedIn is also sometimes known as the recruiter's best friend.
So I actually think online, perhaps for advice businesses who are seeking those capable young folk, Online's a fantastic place to find them because you can represent your employment brand very well online. But if you want to go to search and you want to look around and see who's out there, if you want to actually headhunt somebody maybe from a competitor, then you can use LinkedIn as a great way of finding candidates.
Dunkley explains that another appealing feature is the ability for users to find groups in order to network with other people in a particular industry.
You know, the great thing about those discussion groups is that it allows people to basically engage with their peers and, you know, pose questions and get feedback, you know, run polls in a way that is very easy. I mean, you know, they can literally just sit there and sort of type it in.
Twitter is usually considered to be the most enigmatic of the social media sites. What Twitter does is let users send tweets, which are text-based posts of up to 140 characters. The limit forces members to be brief with what they say. On Twitter, you have followers rather than friends. So, for example, you can follow someone's tweets, but they may not be following yours. Calder says licensees and advisors can use Twitter to communicate valuable information to clients, meet potential clients, follow up leads, and develop their brand.
Twitter's a place where you can build a brand around your own name or around your own company quite easily. So if, for example, you were targeting clients in a particular segment of the population and you knew that a group of those people were actively having conversations on Twitter about certain topics, one way of building a brand amongst that group of people would simply be to appropriately join the conversation that interest group are already having.
YouTube is the biggest deviation from the main social media sites, as it's primarily used to share videos rather than text-based information and photos. Dunkley says YouTube provides benefits to licensees, including the ability to upload videos for free, generating potential leads, the potential to reach out to more clients compared with a typical seminar, demonstrating value to clients.
The reality is that the typical advisor cannot afford to put, you know, material on a mainstream television network, whereas YouTube, they can produce it and stick it up there for free. They can link to that from their website.
A problem with social media is that there's so much choice out there, so it can be challenging and time-consuming for licensees to make use of all the available options.
It's almost like a Pandora's box. What can't you do might be almost more of a question these days. But I think one of the big challenges is being really selective about what you choose to do. Social media, and in fact producing your own content for social media, can be a very demanding mistress.
This makes it important for licensees to develop their own social media strategy with the following considerations. Observe how others use social media, determine what websites clients use, find out what content clients want, consider what each platform offers and any associated benefits, stick to areas of expertise.
Choose carefully how you want to engage in social media. Bite off what you can chew is probably, I would say, one of the most important things. And before you do that, listen. Listen and learn. See what other people are doing. Maybe if you choose Twitter, or if you look at LinkedIn, or if you explore Facebook, see what's going on there. And then finally select which channel and what kind of content is going to help you with your current business objectives.
Calder also says that licensees need to consider social media as a long-term investment and be prepared to learn from mistakes.
Not everyone is the Kardashians. So I would suggest to advise businesses that think about this in a really long-term way. It's going to take time and it's going to take effort. There will be mistakes along the way. You should expect mistakes, you should welcome them, but you should learn from them and take those learnings forward into the next thing that you do.
It's also important to be aware that there are significant risks arising from improper use or perhaps from unmanaged or uninformed use of social media. If there's one thing that all users of social media need to realize, it's that everything they post is public. This highlights the need for all members to take the time to understand and adjust their privacy settings on the different platforms and learn how to use private messaging functions.
Most platforms these days have got pretty robust privacy settings, and you know, if you're just new to some of these sort of areas, you really need to take the time to understand what those settings mean and what the default settings are, because you know, if you just go in and accept the default, you might find that you know, all your sort of information and sharing and conversations are viewable to the whole world, and that isn't necessarily what you want.
He says licensees should also make the time to monitor the social media channels they are involved in so they can see what clients are saying and also make the effort to respond to any queries in a timely manner.
Now, if you're a smaller business, you might find it harder to monitor your social media constantly, and we recommend for smaller practices that you just have to block out some time, maybe at the start and the end of each day to sort of log in and monitor the traffic to those accounts.
Another major risk with social media platforms is that employees could post information that is incorrect or commercially sensitive. To help mitigate these risks, licensees should consider implementing a social media policy.
I think it's important for every single business these days to have a social media policy. Not everyone would agree with me, but if you don't have that in place, then you've got a big risk in your business.
Dunkley says while it's a good idea to have a policy, it should not just be about the negatives of social media.
And what I mean by that is, rather than just setting out, here's a bunch of stuff that you can't do, I think that gets employees off on the wrong foot and sort of sets the wrong tone. Because remember, the whole power of social media is about engagement and a sense of community.
A good social media policy should outline why the licensee uses social media, what is expected from employees using social media websites, how should employees identify themselves on social media channels, what topics should employees not discuss on social media platforms, what are the consequences of inappropriate use of social media. The rise of social media in such a short time has been nothing short of phenomenal, and the way it has influenced consumer behaviour is just as impressive. With a well-crafted strategy and appropriate risk protocols in place, social media platforms can add significant value to the profile of licensees and advisors. The best bit is that these platforms, for the most part, are free to use.